Welcome to another Odds HQ NHL betting preview video for Saturday, August 29th. The NHL Stanley Cup playoffs resuming after a two-day hiatus with the player protests taking place in the aftermath of the shooting in Wisconsin. But the playoffs are ready to resume on Saturday, and we've got a big Game 3 on tap in the Eastern Conference on Saturday night. It's the Philadelphia Flyers, New York Islanders, series tied at one game apiece. The New York Islanders, a minus 115 favorite in Game 3 on Saturday night. The total 5 across the board. The total actually went over in Game 2 in the 4-3 win for the Philadelphia Flyers, and it was essentially wash, rinse, repeat. If you've been paying attention to the Philadelphia Flyers trend, it has been back them off a loss. They're pretty much unbeatable in that situation. And with that Game 2 win for the Philadelphia Flyers, they're now 11-0. Perfect 11-0 since the early part of January off a loss. They kept that trend perfect intact in Game 2 with the 4-3 overtime win. But it was not a pretty victory for this Philadelphia Flyers team. Far from it. They had the start they wanted after a really bad game in Game 1, getting shut out by the New York Islanders. They had the start they wanted. They got out to a 3-0 lead in the first period and chased Semyon Varlamov from the game. Barry Trotz pulling him and putting Thomas Greiss in the first period just to change the momentum. I also think Varlamov deserved to be pulled from the standpoint of his performance. To me, just wasn't as good as it's been throughout the playoffs. He's been really good in net, very solid. Haven't hardly seen any bad goals go in against him. But he was just not sharp in the first period. A couple of those goals. The second Kevin A's goal was a short side goal. It shouldn't go in between the post and your arm. That just shouldn't happen. And then the third goal was a great deke move by Sean Couturier, who scored his first goal of the playoffs. Much needed from the Flyers. We were waiting for him to step up. He finally did with a big goal there. But I thought Varlamov played his angle poorly. On that Couturier goal, could have definitely played a lot better than he did. But the bottom line is that was definitely not. No way was it Semyon Varlamov's best game. I think it was the right call from Barry Trotz to try to change the momentum, put Greiss in, and it worked. Because to me, the New York Islanders in the last two periods, after falling down 3-0 in Game 2, they were really the much better team. I mean, the Flyers were running around. The Islanders took the game to them in the second period. They got just the one goal in the second to make it 3-1. But you could tell there was a little life and belief again with the New York Islanders heading into that third period that, hey, maybe we can come back and steal this game. Sure enough, they were swarming the Philadelphia Flyers in the third period. They were in the offensive zone most of the third, just coming at the Flyers wave after wave, line after line, just swarming the net all over Carter Hart. They end up getting the 3-2 goal with about 7 minutes to go, and then Jean-Gabriel Pageau off a horrible giveaway by the Flyers in their own zone with a beautiful bullet shot to tie the game, force overtime. And going into overtime, the Flyers looked like they're on the ropes. I mean, they had this game well in hand. The Islanders came alive in the last two periods, outplayed them, and you were worried for the Flyers. Are they going to get this thing back on the rails again? But they did. Give them credit. It was a little bit of a lucky, you could say, overtime goal, but a lot of them are. Philip Myers with a point shot that gets deflected in front of the net and ends up beating Thomas Greiss for the overtime winner, and the Flyers take Game 2 4-3. Obviously a game they had to have. If the Flyers had lost that game in that fashion after being up 3-0, this could have been a short series, very quick, and very quickly over in favor of the New York Islanders. But they got the win they needed. The Flyers offense, it's at least somewhat of comfort that they finally came to life and scored 4 goals in the Game 2 victory. They had scored just 10 goals in the 7 playoff games combined prior to the Game 2 win. Still, I think the Islanders, you take a lot of positives after the loss in Game 2. They battled back from a 3-0 deficit. They outplayed Philly most of the last 2 periods. They just got themselves too far behind too early and dug too big a hole to come back. But if you've been watching this series for the first 2 games, there's been 6+ periods of hockey, 6.5, you could say, after the overtime. I'd say the Islanders have been the better team for 4 of those 6 periods at least. You could maybe even say 5 periods. I think the only period you can definitively say Philadelphia was the better team was Game 1 was the first period of Game 2, the last game when they got out to that 3-0 lead. I think the Islanders have looked like the superior team for 4, if not 5 of the 6 periods so far. And I trust them now to bounce back because I think they've been the better team. And I don't think they'll be shaken losing game 2. And I don't buy the Flyer win in game 2 all of a sudden meaning they're going to take over in this series because I've not seen evidence of it. I've seen the Islanders spending way more time in the offensive zone in this series than vice versa. And I think that might continue here in game 3. And it's worth noting, it's not an 11-0 streak off a loss for the New York Islanders like it is for Philadelphia. But the New York Islanders, after their 2 previous losses here in the playoffs, they bounced back to win the next game each time. So they've shown that ability to bounce back strong after they lose the previous game as well here in the playoffs. I think they've been the better team for extended stretches so far in this series. And at minus 115, pretty cheap price, I've got no problem backing them here in game 3. I'm taking the New York Islanders minus 115 over the Philadelphia Flyers in game 3 of this Eastern Conference semifinal series. That's my Odds HQ NHL betting preview video best bet for Saturday, August 29th. I'm Ian Cameron. Thank you for watching. A reminder, check out odds.com every day for great sports betting content and the Odds HQ YouTube channel for live shows and daily sports betting videos to help you pile up the profits. Enjoy the Saturday of NHL Stanley Cup playoff action. Good luck with all of your bets, and I'll be back with you again tomorrow on Sunday for another Odds HQ NHL betting preview video.